People have this weird obsession with summer 2016. Summer 16 this, summer 16 that. OMG, I'd sell my family to go back to summer 16. Well, I think part of the reason people idolized summer 16 so much was because of how good the music scene was. Come on, Drake had just dropped Views, One Dance was everywhere, Pick Up the Phone, Nav wasn't on the radio. These two didn't vanish yet. And this group of rappers were just being introduced to the world on a grand scale. But one of these Lils was extra hot this summer. Of course I'm speaking of Lil Yachty. He had his breakout hit One Night, which spawned one of the greatest memes to hit the internet. And to follow up the success of One Night, he also had Broccoli with Drum. I still get goosebumps when I hear Hey Lil Mama, Would You Like to Be My Sunshine? Both One Night and Broccoli were songs that defined and added to the allure of Summer 16. When people think of Summer 16, these are some of the first songs that come to mind. Today, One Night sits at 1 times platinum, and Broccoli sits at 7 times platinum respectively. Following Yachty's success in Summer 16, Yachty had, well, more success. He was the face of Target ads. He had the Sprite commercials with LeBron. He was on another top 10 song in Kyle's I Spy. But after 2018, everything seemed to slow down. Yachty fell off the charts and was for the most part dormant on them through 2019. His biggest look that year was ghostwriting Act Up by City Girls. What was once our beloved, fun-loving, red-headed teenager had become an utter silence which Yachty had never subjected us to before. He was still releasing music, but it was more features than singles, both of which just came and went for the most part. Yachty didn't even make a single appearance on the charts this year. One thing I've noticed in rap is if you don't have a cult following, you're not constantly on the charts, or have a solid presence on social media, you get mostly forgotten about. Remember Lil Pump? Exactly. Although his fans never lost sight of him, Yachty was out of sight and out of mind to the general public. For months on end, I sat wondering when our wonderful wordsmith and crafter of such articulate bars would return. Until, boom, 2020. He dropped Lil Boat 3, a welcoming return to form, which only sold 30K first week. And to add salt to the slug, it didn't even crack top 10, despite being the most anticipated release that week. Now, of course, those numbers are great when compared to a Smoke Perp, but to the others on that 2016 freshman list, these numbers are minuscule. Even compared to himself 2 years ago, these numbers are still small. To put things into perspective, from April 2017 to the end of 2018, he had 10 songs on the Billboard, one even cracking top 5. Since then, he's only had 2. Now you may argue that Yachty is still relevant. He just had that song Oprah's Bank Account. While the argument is valid, one could also argue it was only a hit due to the features. It's a fact everything Drake touches is going to sell, but then on top of that you sprinkle in some DaBaby too, and you have an almost guaranteed hit. It's hard to flop once you receive the Drake and DaBaby stimulus package. It's a tactic used by many artists. When your own star power is drying up, you recruit a rapper who's popping right now for a feature. Yes, rappers clout chase. If I dropped a single right now, it will go triple aluminum. But let's say I put Roddy Ricch on there. Then boom, 100 million views. So, what happened to Lil Yachty? How did he go from ruling the charts and giving us a classic summertime anthem to being a rapper who gets looked over? Well, his absence definitely played a part. Over a year and a half passed between the release of Nothing to Prove and Lil Boat 3. Yachty's absence left a power vacuum plenty of other rappers whose name began with Lil were ready to fill. These days when you look up Lil on YouTube, Yachty's name is nowhere to even be found. Yachty went from being the arguable king of the Lil rappers to not even being mentioned at all. In his line of rap, it's not hard to be replaced by other, more consistent, lively rappers, even if you still consistently drop music. Other than his absence, what also added to Yachty's fading star was the album he left off with. It had some solid songs on the tracklist, but as a whole, it was eaten up by critics. Here's what Anthony Fantano had to say about Nothing to Prove.
The stunning and memorable thing about your record needs to be you. You cannot be buried in the beats, outshined by your guests. You need to come out there with all guns blazing so that you leave an impact, leave an impression on the audience.
And with that, gave the album the accompanying score of a
decent 2 strong 2.
Leaving on a forgettable album in a subgenre that drastically changes every few months or so with no remorse for who it leaves behind is a recipe for disaster. It seemed gone were the days that made Yachty such a fun and energetic rapper. Yachty failed to stand out and be a distinct voice like he previously was, and got lost in a sea of releases from other rappers offering new sounds. I hope Lil Yachty could rise back to the heights he previously was with his release Lil Boat 3, but it wasn't one of his more solid works. And my favorite tracks off the album were songs that included features, and judging by the streams and views, it seems like I'm not the only one. The most streamed song on the album, other than Oprah's bank account, is TD, which again, is Yachty being obliterated by his features and failing to leave a mark on the listener. Maybe Lil Yachty will never have another run like his 2016-2018 run, or ever have a summer that was as hot as his Summer 16 run. But in hindsight, it truly was magical.